Hello everyone, you are all welcome to lecture number 934, and today's topic is the hazards of use of herbicides and fungicides. Previously I have already discussed the health hazard of in general insecticide and pesticides, and these chemicals they are mostly chlorinated derivatives of hydrocarbon, organochlorinated compounds like dichlorodiphenyl, trichloroethane, that is DDT, then hexachlorobenzene, HBC, hexachlorocyclohexane, that is HCH, and then the ring compounds aldrine, dialdrine. So they are all collectively used as a fungicide, insecticide, pesticide, herbicides. And these chlorocompounds, they are damaging not only our health or living organisms, they are also damaging our environment and soil also. The fauna of soil means the microorganisms. For example, when we are applying fungicides and herbicides, they are selectively sometimes, and they can destroy those unwanted herbs or unwanted fungi, but at the same time they also destroy and they kill the microorganisms which are very much useful for the fertility and for the pH of the soil. So in the long run, once we are using herbicides and pesticides, it is having some hazard, some negative impact. And again, at the same time, these herbicides and pesticides, they can mutate the genetic material, DNA of living organisms, and even in traces, it can affect the fertility of living organisms, including the human beings. And it has been noticed that those women who are working in herbicide and fungicide industries, it was found that their fertility is drastically reduced, and sometimes they are not conceiving the pregnancy. So these are all very, very negative impact. And WHO, that is World Health Organization, and also that is Food Organization, FOA, they are always mentioning and giving their guidelines about the use of all this. And nowadays, most of these chloro derivatives or organochloro compounds in the form of herbicide, pesticide, insecticide and fungicide, they are used in developing countries. And in developing countries, the casualties of human beings are more, because it is a recent report by WHO that the farmers, especially in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they are not educated to understand the toxicity of these chemicals. So because of the extra use, extensive use, negligence, they become the victim of these chemicals. So in this case, for this use of all these chemicals, the farmers must be given some training and education how to use, how to spray in the air. And once it is sprayed in the air, it is causing more damage. And for your kind information, DDT was banned in 1986 itself, but still in India it is freely available, and it was banned for the use of agriculture, and it was allowed only for domestic use inside houses. The hexachlorobenzene was banned in 1996, but still these chemicals are available in market everywhere, and regulatory bodies were supposed to restrict all these things and ban it and impose the order. They are not doing. And the farmer's explanation is that the cheapest pesticide is DDT. And DDT is very easily available, is the cheapest, and of course it is effective. That's why still it is available in the market. And in fact, after extensive research, it was found that these chloro compounds, especially DDT, HBC, they have carcinogenic effect. They have effect on central nervous system, CNS effect, and they contribute to your brain health, nervous breakdown. So all these factors are there, but still in third world countries, the use of all these chlorinated hydrocarbons are there. Even then they are banned. But in advanced countries also, these are banned, they are not using, but at the same time some other substitutes are there, chemical substitutes, and there the use is more as compared to developing countries. So all these factors I will be giving one by one. So number one, herbicides. The herbicides can modify plant communities, which in turn affect herbivores and carnivores. This is very interesting hazard by herbicides, because these herbicides, they can modify the plant communities by modifying their genetic material, and that is going to affect herbivores. Herbivores means those animals which are eating the herb, plant material, and once continuously they are eating such type of modified, genetically modified due to herbicide, that herb, and it is accumulated in their body, and then that one is eaten by carnivores, means animal protein like human beings. So it is a chain, we can say reaction of hazardness of herbicide, that first it will go to carnivore, those animals, and then the herbivores, those animals which are eating the plant, and then it will be transferred to carnivore, means those animals which are eating meat, and those carnivores are human beings and other animals like tiger and so many other wild animals like dogs, which in turn affect herbivores and then carnivores. Despite largest use of herbicides and pesticides, which are basically toxic and do not increase the yield, so actually we all know that these herbicides, which are responsible for killing selectively the unwanted herb, also the insecticide or pesticides, which are killing the small insects and pests, but these are not going to increase the yield of the crop. Globally, we have experienced most herb and pest outbreaks like bollworm, whitefly in cotton, BPH and leaf folder in rice, pyrilla and borers in sugarcane, aphid in mustard, and part borer in pigeon pea. So even we are applying these chemicals, herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, in spite of that, still the resistance is there. And we can notice such type of pests and insects. And some herbs, they are also resistant to herbicides and they grow. So that is a serious issue at the moment. All the farmers globally they are facing, because most of these herbicides and pesticides, insecticides, these pests and some herbs, they became resistant. And in this way, the concentration is increased by the farmers who are not educated in order to destroy either unwanted herbs or pests or insects. The recent reports of resistance and resurgence of filariae. So recently it has been reported in India that the emergence of these diseases, and they are filariae minor in wheat, 2 Isoproteron herbicides. So I mean now wheat became resistant to this herbicide. In Indian various states like Haryana, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh, UP, and resistance in insect species like bollworm, whitefly and borers. So these are all reported cases in different states in India, that some herbs are resistant and some insects are resistant, and these are reported in Haryana, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh in India. Has added another dimension to destabilize the food production. So this, I mean, we can say that resistance or resurgence of all these towards herbicides and pesticides is affecting the productivity of food grain in India. It has been reported recently. Number 2, the chlorinated hydrocarbon herbicides and pesticides on land destroy the soil fertility and reducing the soil fauna. So when we are using these herbicides and pesticides, which are chlorinated derivative, chlorinated hydrocarbon, they are seriously destroying the fertility and productive capacity of the soil. It is also affecting the pH, means generally the pH of the soil either should be neutral, 7, or slightly alkaline, maybe 7.6 or 7.8. Once these pesticides, herbicides are used, sometimes they will shift towards acidity, maybe 6.8, and that will directly affect the fertility of the soil, and also it is disturbing and destroying the microorganisms which are positive for soil. Pesticides and land destroy the soil fauna. Soil fauna means those microorganisms which are present in soil which are useful, reducing the fertile and productive capacity of soil. Now the birds are mostly affected because of aerial spray of these chemicals, herbicides and insecticides like DDT, as their nests and feeding sites are near the field, which are sprayed by these toxic chemicals. Birds pick up food from soil, especially when ground is wet. There is thus indirect source of herbicides and pesticides for birds, as they feed on burrowing animals like earthworms. So once it is wet and they are in search of some burrowing animal, and most common burrowing animal for birds in wet field, they are earthworm. And earthworm, they are consuming lot of soil, and that soil, contaminated soil with pesticide and herbicide is taken by birds, and it is going to affect their genetic material as well as their general egg and health. And birds they feed on burrowing animals like earthworms, which take large amount of soil, and those soils are contaminated, and that can cause lot of serious health problem to birds, their eggs, and mutation of their DNA. So with this I will stop here, and in the next lecture I am going to discuss the hazards of, that is, fungicides, different type of fungicides. Thank you very much for watching the lecture.